I was looking for something to investigate. I'm an investigator. The name's Investigator Alligator, and when I want something to investigate, I usually drop in at the workshop of my good friend. That's Mr. E. He always seems able to give me something interesting to think about.
Hi, Al. Don't move. You know, you're just the person that I want to... Oh!
What was that?
Just what I was afraid of. It's your picture, Al. I can't seem to keep it hanging on the wall. It's your picture, Al. I can't seem to keep it hanging on the wall.
Why not?
Well, let me explain how I hang it. First, I drill a hole for the nail. Then, I get the nail. Next, I put the nail into the hole, and then hang the picture from the nail.
It seems to be hanging all right now.
Well, it always seems all right at first, but after a minute or two... See?
Why do you suppose that happens, Mr. E?
Well, that's the mystery that I hope you can investigate and solve, Al.
I'll do what I can, Mr. E. I'll investigate and try to find out why that picture of me won't stay hanging on your wall.
Well, I think you might find that interesting, Al. And here's a clue that should help you get started. The mystery involves temperature, and I have a tool to help you solve the mystery. This is a thermometer. We use it for measuring temperature. This is a thermometer. We use it for measuring temperature. Temperature is a measure of how warm or hot matter is. Let me write the word thermometer for you. This part of the word, thermo, means heat. The other word part is meter. Here, that means measure. When you put thermo and meter together, you get thermometer, a tool that's used for measuring heat, for telling us how warm or hot matter is. And when matter isn't very warm, then a thermometer becomes a tool for telling us how cool or cold matter is.
What are those marks on the thermometer? And those numbers?
Those marks help us to measure temperature. We measure temperature in degrees.
Are degrees units of temperature?
That's right, Al. Each one of these marks shows 1 degree. Right now, the thermometer shows what the temperature of the air is in my workshop.
27 degrees?
27 degrees Celsius. That's what this C stands for up here. See? The Celsius thermometer is the one that scientists most often use. But this thermometer also shows another way of measuring temperature. This F stands for Fahrenheit. 27 degrees Celsius is about the same as 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, Al, that's about all I can tell you right now to help you solve the mystery. The rest is up to you.
And so I had another mystery from my friend Mr. E to solve. It was about temperature, and I called it The Case of the Falling Picture.
I have confidence in you, Al.
I know what I have to do, Mr. E. Find out why this picture of me keeps falling off the wall by investigating temperature. And that's what I did. So I had this thermometer for measuring how hot or cold things are, but I wasn't sure how I ought to use it. But since I was in the neighborhood, I decided to visit a friend of mine who was sick. I happened to get there when his mother was going to take his temperature. I didn't get too close to him in case what he had was contagious, but I remembered that when you're sick, your temperature goes up. His mother showed me the thermometer she was using. She said it was called a fever thermometer. Normal temperature would have been near this arrow, but my friend's temperature was a few degrees above normal. His mother thought it might be better if I came back another time. I agreed. Outside, I joined some friends who were going to another friend's house and have a snack. Along the way, we noticed a big sign that I always passed but didn't usually pay much attention to. It gave the time, but it also gave the temperature in Fahrenheit and in Celsius. My friends couldn't understand why I was so interested in the sign, until I told them about the mystery I was trying to solve. I asked if they'd like to help me investigate temperature. They said they would. At our friend's house, we found a lot of thermometers. There was one that showed what the temperature was outside, and one that showed what the temperature was inside the house. There was a thermometer that showed the temperature inside the oven when food was cooking. When my friend's father started cooking some eggs, we asked him if he could take the temperature of the water as it got hotter with the thermometer Mr. E had given me. My friend's father said it was good I had that thermometer. A fever thermometer would break. The water started out around the same temperature as it was inside the house, but its temperature started going up fast. I wondered how high it would get. When it got to 100 degrees Celsius, the water started boiling. Later, Mr. E told me that 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, is called the boiling point of water. Something else was happening while the water boiled. We could tell from the marks the water left in the pot that it was disappearing. I guess it must have been going into the air because we could see clouds rising above the pot and then they disappeared. Later, Mr. E explained it like this.
That's called a change of state, Al. When water boils, it changes state. At 100 degrees Celsius, the water changes from a liquid to a gas. The liquid water changes to invisible water vapor.
Watching water getting hot made us all want something cool, like a cold glass of water. As we expected, the water temperature was about the same as the temperature inside the house, about 23 degrees Celsius. And as we expected, putting ice into the water made the water colder. And as we also expected, the thermometer showed that. We all had drinks of water after they were nice and cold. But I wondered how cold water could get. So we put some water in an ice cube tray along with the thermometer and put it all in the freezer to freeze the water. A few hours later, we took out the tray. What we expected would happen had happened. The water froze. It changed to ice. Mr. E explained it like this later.
That's a change of state too, Al. When water freezes, it changes from a liquid state into a solid state.
That's the way Mr. E explained what had happened to the water. The thermometer showed the temperature of the ice was 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Mr. E said this was the freezing point of water. We could see that temperature made a big difference where water was concerned. Only frozen water would stay around something like this and help it stand up. Ice is hard. Well, it's a solid. It's not like water, which is a liquid, or water vapor, which is a gas. We watched for a while. The solid ice started melting. It was all changing back to liquid water. After the ice had melted, we noticed the temperature of the water was going up. After a while, it was the same temperature as the air in the room was. I had spent a day investigating temperature, but I wasn't sure if I had learned anything that would help me solve the mystery of the falling picture. The pieces weren't falling into place for me. I had trouble falling asleep that night, and when I finally did, my dreams were all about temperature and thermometers. But I kept dreaming about one thing over and over again. The thermometer frozen in the ice holding it up, and then the thermometer falling over into the puddle of water when the ice melted. There was something about the ice, the hard ice, the cold, hard ice that melted and turned into water and got warmer. Something I should be getting from it, but I didn't know what. And when I woke up, the dream was still in my mind, only this time it had given me an idea. So I went back to Mr. E to check it out.
So, Al, have you solved the mystery of the falling picture?
Maybe yes and maybe no, Mr. E. Could you show me how you hang my picture again?
Sure, Al. I'll just get another nail.
This time I watched him. He went someplace you don't normally go to get nails. A refrigerator freezer.
Then I put the nail in the hole I drilled and hang your picture from it. Now we just have to wait a little while. There, you see? It fell again.
But this time I ran to the hole where the nail had been put in. Water was dripping out of it. But I was sure there hadn't been any water there before Mr. E put the nail in the hole. Now I was sure I had the solution. Could you hang my picture just one more time, Mr. E? But this time I want to go with you and see one of those nails you keep in the freezer.
It looks like you're about to solve the mystery, Al.
Aha! Just as I thought. The nail is made of ice, isn't it?
That's right, Al.
And when you put the ice nail into the hole, the ice is hard, so it can hold up the picture. But the higher temperature in the room causes the ice to melt. It changes state.
Very good, Al.
It changes to liquid water. And liquid water is very different from ice, which is a solid. And that's why my picture keeps falling down.
Well, you've done it, Al. While you've learned something about measuring the temperature of matter, you've also solved another case with your careful investigation. Yes, with a little experimentation and a little messing around, a lot of questions can be answered in science. And with a real nail, I'll be seeing you every day, whether you visit or not. Come again soon, Al. It's always nice to see you.
And it's always fun investigating and finding out things for myself, with a little help from you, Mr. E. You know, that's not a bad picture of me. And I marked the case of the falling picture solved. Investigator Alligator had done it again.